Focused and committed to building your business, especially in the online space. But are you finding it difficult to reach the people that you want to reach? Do you ever find yourself looking over your shoulder and seeing the big dogs that are out there creating massive audiences, getting huge results, walking across the stage, getting the acknowledgement, and then you wonder to yourself, how in the heck do they do that? And more importantly, how do I do that? Have you ever found yourself looking at somebody and saying to yourself, that's a great client, but how can I get inside their heart and their mind and actually help make a difference in their lives? If you've ever struggled with any of these questions, but you have a serious commitment to finding the answers, then today's Daily Dose of Awesome is designed specifically for you. Hello, my friends. JT DeBolt is with you today for the Elite Marketing Pro Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, education, and motivation to help you get your day started off right. And let me say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it is for you, no matter where you might be tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Thank you for joining us here each and every single Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific for the Daily Dose of Awesome. As you're jumping out here, let me know where you are tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble so I can give you a big hello. I see Bart Ripple coming in from Cleveland, Ohio. What's happening? Hey, man, the Browns looking pretty good this year, bro. I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's it's pretty awesome to see them having a better season than they've had in the past. Shavonda Chase coming in from Clarksville, Tennessee. Michelle Felicia, what's happening, my friend? Good to see you. Ron, hey, Ron, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. I haven't seen Ron D'Agostino in a while. It's good to see you, my friend. Always great to have you here. Tom Dealey's in the house. Lots of folks coming in here. As you're jumping out, say hello so I can give you a long-distance hello, high five, hug, whichever you prefer. All right, so what we're talking about today is influence, and more specifically, the three levers of influence. When we think of levers, think of leverage. Think of it almost like a hinge that moves a door. Now, if you've ever looked at any kind of door, typically any door that you have in your house, any door that you might have in a building, even if you go to, like, say for instance, a church or a large structure, could be, could be a military structure, could be a castle, could be anything that's got huge doors. You'll notice that those big, huge, heavy doors swing on a very small piece of metal, relatively speaking. It's a smaller piece. It's not as big as the door, let's put it that way. Even reinforced doors have small hinges. And so if you use that sort of as a visual and as an example, that's exactly what we need to do if we're going to create influence in our business and in our lives. It's not about doing the big things. It's about doing the important things really well. And so we're going to be talking about those. I'm going to give you really three specific levers of influence that if you work on these on a daily basis and create these as your characteristics, your kind of core values, your core competencies, you're going to find that not only does your income grow, but so does your following, so does your audience, and more importantly, so does your influence. Now, I struggled with this in the very beginning when I first broke into business back in 2006. My wife and I started our first business. It was in network marketing. Frankly, I was the negative spouse. I was the one saying this is never going to work. And the reason being is I didn't understand how influence really worked at that point. Now, it's kind of unusual because at that point I was still an active duty naval officer. I was still flying for the United States Navy. And so I was actually using influence on a daily basis and just didn't realize how transferable that skill was into business, and more, not just transferable, but how important it was to transfer that skill over. Right now in your life, no matter where you are, whether you are a full-time entrepreneur or you're looking to break into it, you have some form of influence in your life. At some point, you have created influence. You had to have in order to be here. Now, maybe the influence was how you, were able to win the heart of the person you love, your spouse, your whomever that might be, the person you might be dating, your partner, whomever it is. If you have children, chances are you have created some influence with them. If you have close friends, if you have people that perhaps you have a hobby, like maybe you play sports, or maybe you do something on a regular basis, you're in a dance club, or you're in a reading club, something where you're involved with other people, even if it's a hobby, chances are you have some level of influence with those people. The question is, how did that come about? Well, I'm going to be talking to you about those three things, three areas, three levers of influence. But more importantly, I want to distill it down into business, all right? Because that's what we're here for. We're here to build a strong business. So let's think for just a second back to that representation that I gave you a moment ago about the hinges on a door. All right. Small hinges swing big doors. That's something we talk a lot about in the fast track workshops. In fact, my good buddy, brother brother from another mother, TJ Irway, is the first person I heard really say that so eloquently, is big hinges swing big doors. And I want you to really think about the power of that and how it applies to your influence. When we talk about influence, influence is the ability to get into the heart and minds of people around you. All right. It's not about getting them to do stuff. It's not about coercing them. It's not about manipulation. Those are completely different things. And that's not what we're interested in as leaders. What we're interested in is how we can affect people in a positive way, how we can get them to move in a way that's going to benefit their lives. And I'm guessing that you're here to make a change and a difference in people's lives, or help make a difference in their lives by doing what you do. If you are here because you care about helping other people, if you are here because you know you have value to add to the world, if you are here because you know that your business is about more than just making money, it's about helping people change their own lives and move forward, then I want you to give me a 1 in the chat box. I want to see how many leaders I have on the call tonight, or on the call this morning. For me, it's the morning. For depending on where you might be on the big blue marble, it might be night. But for me, it's morning here. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, actually, here on the West Coast. Nice day, a little bit cloudy. It's been foggy here, but I got to tell you, it's my kind of weather, baby. I love this kind of weather. What's up, Samra? Good to see you. Shirley, what's happening? Jan's in the house. Teddy, what's going on? Tracy Bauer Wilson in Alberta, Canada. What's happening? All right, so I'm seeing, hey, Adrian, what's happening? Good to see you. Rebecca Grant's in the house. Michael, Chuck Kewen's in the house. Good to see you guys. I got to just say, I love saying hi to my old buds. It's good to see you guys. Lots of ones coming in. All right, so my leaders are on deck, ready to learn. So let's talk about this. I want to get to the one that I think is the most important. And by the way, when I say the 3 levers of influence, I'm not talking about the 3, like that's all there is. For you leaders out there, you're probably going to find that you influence people differently. Maybe your approach to it is going to be slightly different than mine. I'm just going to offer 3 that I see as being extremely important. And by important, what I mean by this is the stuff that people are looking for in their leaders. Okay, so if they're coming to the network marketing industry and they're thinking about, hey, who am I going to join? This is the stuff they're looking for. Right? If you have your own product, let's say that you are a coach or a consultant, you are the product, you're the face of the company. This is the stuff that they're going to be looking for. It doesn't matter what you deliver, doesn't matter how great you are. It depends on if people can see this in you. Okay. If they can see these 3 things in you, then they're going to follow you regardless of what the market does. Doesn't matter who your competition is. Doesn't matter whether the economy's up, down, sideways, left, right. It doesn't even matter. Okay. The very first one that people have to know about you is your character. And more importantly, what I'm talking about here is your ability to show up and deliver. All right. So a lot of times this comes off, we talk about it as discipline. And I understand that to the outside world, the word discipline is a dirty word. They would much rather not hear you talk about discipline. And so it's not something that I really want you to talk about. It's not something that I'm encouraging you to stand up there, pound your chest, stand on your soapbox and say, hey, it's all about discipline, folks. Discipline is something that people see in you. Okay, they're actually looking for it, even though to them it may not necessarily be the thing that they love to talk about. You know, discipline is that thing where you don't feel like doing something, but you show up and you do it anyway. Case in point, I was on the road for a little bit over a week last week. Very busy, super intensive, long days, not very much downtime, and was very easy to get off track with my physical fitness. So I came home and I was thinking, man, I'm so beat up, so tired. All I want to do is take a day off. And so I took a little bit of time off just to get my head recalibrated and spend some time with my family. But then it was right back into the gym. And here's what's interesting is I figured, oh man, I'm going to have all this time to get right back on track with my typical routine. And that was absolutely positively not the case. I had to find a way to make it happen. This is the same thing in your business. Listen, if you grow, as you grow, and you start to take on more responsibility in your business, guess what's going to go away? Guess what you're going to have less of? It's going to be time. All right, you're going to have a lot less time. And if you've experienced this just in the time that you've been an entrepreneur, if you've noticed how, hey, listen, I thought I was going to have more time, now I have even less time. And more importantly, the time that I have has been more impacted by outside stuff, people demanding my time, people needing my help, then give me a 2 in the chat box. If you've noticed that as you've built your business and as you've grown your influence, you've had less free time, you've had less freedom to do the stuff that you thought you were going to have time to do, go ahead and give me a 2 in the chat box. And this is not a problem, okay? This is not a bad thing. It's just the reality of being a leader. So this first piece, when we talk about character, is really purpose, all right? You want to be purpose-driven. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've heard gurus and experts and specialists talk about finding your purpose, and they're going to help you find your purpose. I want to be very clear on this one thing. I just want to give you a small kind of disclaimer, and I want to give you a license to be cool with this, all right? It's okay if right now you don't know what your purpose is in your business. That's not the point. People will follow a purpose-driven leader, but purpose-driven doesn't mean that you have your vision statement and your mission statement written up on a piece of paper and you sit there and you spout it off and it's written all over your website, all right? A person who's on purpose, they are showing up with their character. They're showing up with their follow-through. They're showing up with their commitment to whatever it is they're doing. They've got the discipline to show up and do what they're going to do with their business, even if they don't feel like doing it or even if they don't have all the answers. One thing that you're going to find with influencers, whether you look at the top earners in any industry, any company, is they don't necessarily have all the answers, but they definitely have a go-get-it attitude, right? They're going to go get the answer. If they don't have the answer, they're open to saying, I don't know what it is. Right? They're not coming from a place of certainty saying, well, I have all the answers or I think I know everything. Instead, they come from a place of saying, you know what? I'm going to seek clarity over certainty. I'd rather be in a question mode. I'd rather be curious and asking questions about how I might do things differently, what's working, what's not working, what we might do to get that thing better, faster, higher, further. Whether it's a Facebook ad, whether it's going Facebook Live, whether it's building a team, whether it's creating income, they realize that they are not going to influence people by simply showing up, having a slick-looking website, having pictures of them sitting on the beach. That's not what influence is. That's hype and BS. All right, hype and BS does not influence people. It's your character, how you show up, how you conduct yourself, and really more importantly, how you do it on a consistent basis. So think about this. What is your character all about? What are you based upon? What's your values? What are your vision? What's your mission? What's your purpose? And when you get clear on those 4 things, those are the things that you want to convey in your messaging. Those are the things that how you want to conduct yourself and how you want to conduct your business. All right. So I see a lot of 2s coming up here, which is awesome. It's awesome in a way because I know you're saying to yourself, JT, it's not awesome, dude. Literally, I was looking for more time freedom and I got less time freedom. Here's the good news. Chances are, if you're conducting yourself like a leader, right? If you're showing up with that discipline, which really all discipline is consistency and follow through. Just think of it that way. It's doing the stuff that you know you got to do even when you don't feel like doing it, but doing it with consistency and follow through. That's pretty much as simple as I can come up with, right? At least my definition of it. Your definition might be slightly different, and that's totally cool. But if you show up with that level of character, people are going to follow you. But more importantly, the high quality people, the people that are going to duplicate that behavior. And isn't that what you want? I mean, do you want to build a team of people that are actually going to show up and do what they said they were going to do? How many times, by the way, have you ever gotten on a call, like whether you call it a discovery call or an intro call, you're talking to somebody and maybe you meet them in face to face, you meet them at a party, you meet them at a networking thing, and they talk a big game, man. They're going to conquer the world. They're going to hustle their faces off. They're going to be the next whatever. And then 3 months later, they fizzle off and they go off and do some other shiny object thing, right? You ever seen that? The fact of the matter is that what you're really looking for is the high value, high quality person, high character people. And the best way to attract those people is to be a high character person. So listen, when we're talking about influence, when we're talking about building a huge business or even a small, powerful business, this is what's important when it comes to building influence is you got to lead with character first. Lead with character first, all right? So it's that discipline, it's that follow through, it's that ability to show up and do the stuff when you said you were going to do it. And if you fall back, you fall off the horse, you get right back on, you don't make excuses, and you show up the next day. All right? Hopefully this is working out for you guys. Give me a 3 in the chat box, by the way, if this is resonating with you. Michelle says, oh man, I'm ashamed to say I've been that person. Key word, I've been. I have been, not I am. And Michelle, I appreciate your honesty. In fact, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second, because that's one of the 3 levers of influence. Believe it or not, this is what I was talking about. Michelle is proving right here, right now, that what we're talking about today is true. The fact is, most people have influence. Most people create influence in their lives. It's just a question of recognizing it, number 1, and showing up and duplicating it, number 2. So awesome, Michelle, I appreciate you, my friend, for showing up for that. All right, cool. Lots of good stuff coming in here, lots of 3s. That's great. Now, a moment ago, I was talking about values, vision, mission, and purpose, and I kind of led into the number 2 lever, and that's vision. Now, when we talk about vision, what this means is you have to have a clear idea of what you want to become as a business leader, all right? Now, becoming and being are 2 different things. You go to flight school to become a pilot. You go to medical school to become a doctor. You go to law school to become a lawyer. What that means is there's certain skill sets that you're going to have to refine and take on board, right? As a marketer, you're going to have to learn how to be able to evaluate your ads, how to do great ad copy, how to be able to, find and attract the right kind of clients. So that's a skill set that you have to develop. That's the becoming part. The being part is recognizing what you have within you already. Innate natural abilities. That's what we're talking about. So 2 different things, all right? Becoming is a skill set. Being is showing up and being yourself. I'm going to get to that in a second. But when we talk about vision, vision is the ability to convey where this whole thing is going. The person that's looking at you, that wants to be, that you want to be seen as an influencer in their eyes, they have to know that you're building a bridge to something, right? Because if you're just showing up every day and you're just kind of going through the motions, to them, they think, well, this is a person that may be pretty motivated. They may have a pretty decent work ethic, but where the heck is this thing going? This, my friends, is something that you're going to constantly refine over the course of your life. Is what is your vision for your business? What is the vision for your life? And really, it's not about some flowery vision statement. It's not about, coming up with slick words that are going to make people all ooey gooey. It's about showing up and being that person, right? So yeah, you got to become that top marketer. You got to become that person that has the skill sets and work and refine on them on a daily basis. Goes back to what we were talking about with discipline earlier, right? But then you also have to have the vision where you show up and you say, hey, listen, if you are a person that's dedicated to X, Y, and Z, if you're a person who's committed to this, if you're a person who's fed up with that, then I want you to join me, because this is where we're going. Now, you don't have to say it in those exact words, but that's the behavior that you want to show up with, all right? So vision is as much about behavior as it is about words. Vision is as much about showing them as it is to just kind of talking about it and printing it out and saying, hey, this is what vision is, or this is where we're going. You have to demonstrate it. And when you demonstrate what it means to be a leader, what it means to be influential, people will absolutely follow you. And here's the good news. You don't have to be a big dog. In fact, this is exactly how the big dogs went from being unknown to being superstars. All right. So you can do it just as they did it. It's about having a vision, though. So you got to create that vision. What does this business mean to you? All right. Where is this thing headed? What is it you want to achieve with it, and who must you be in order to make it happen? That's how you define your vision. If you go through that simple process, what is this thing? Where is this thing headed? What does it really mean to you? Who must you become in order to achieve it? Those types of questions, those are the deep thinking questions that you got to answer for yourself, and then convey through not just your words, but through your actions and how you show up on a daily basis. If this is making sense for you, give me a high five in the chat box. I want to make sure we're connecting here, because I got to tell you, my friends, listen, if you have a clear idea of what your vision is, and if you're comfortable knowing it might change over time, it might transform, it might morph a little bit, and being comfortable with that and being flexible enough to follow that, or maybe even lead it, then you're going to have a long and very prosperous, successful career as a professional entrepreneur. Awesome. Jan says, in other words, walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. Amen, my friend. That's exactly correct. All right, lots of high fives coming in here. Super high fives coming from Michelle Felicia. Thank you for that, my friends. All right, lots of good comments coming in here. Listen, I appreciate you guys, by the way. I just want to take a moment to say how awesome it is to have a community of folks that come in here that are heart-centered, that are very committed to their growth, but more importantly, know that it's not just about the X's and O's of business, right? It's not just about the tactical stuff or the strategic stuff. Sometimes it's about knowing how to influence people. In fact, very often it's about influence more so than it is about the tactical stuff, because the tactical stuff's going to change, right? It's totally possible, for instance, that LinkedIn doesn't work for some folks or Facebook doesn't work for some folks. Does that mean that those people can't be successful? Absolutely not. What it means is they have to learn how to have that influence and that leadership so that it doesn't matter what platform they use, they can still make a major impact in the lives of the people who are following them, no matter where they might be. All right, fine, cool. Now, lots of fives coming in. Appreciate you guys. Lots of comments. By the way, my computer just temporarily froze a little bit, so hopefully the whole thing, there it is. Hopefully I didn't freeze. That would be embarrassing. All right, the final piece to this, and this came up just a moment ago when Michelle Felicia was talking about, kind of admitting that sometimes she's been that person. This is what we're talking about with being real. All right, so the third lever is about being real. Now, I want to just narrow this down. I know that's kind of a big generic statement. I want to narrow it down to two characteristics. One is to be vulnerable, and number two is to be authentic. Let's talk specifically about those in order. Vulnerability is not necessarily saying everything that goes wrong in your life, right? And saying, oh my gosh, I bounced a check at the grocery store, or my neighbor was, kicked my cat, and we got in a fist fight over it. It's not necessarily about admitting all the bad stuff that goes off in your life. It doesn't mean you have to hang out and show your dirty laundry to the entire world. What it does mean when we talk about being vulnerable is being real enough to admit when you've got your human moments. Just think of it that way. It's about being human. So often, especially on social media, and correct me if I'm wrong, have you ever noticed this, especially like on Instagram? Instagram's really famous for this. Instagram and Pinterest, because they're very visual. All you see is the pretty perfection of life. You see the people on the beach smiling. You see their perfect clothes. You see their perfect house. You see their perfect kids. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, you should see the mess that's right behind my laptop right now. Well, here's the simple reality is that we all go through times where we have self-doubt. We all go through times where we're thinking to ourselves, am I really worthy of this success? We go through times where we think, is this good enough? Is my message going to be solid enough? And here's the simple reality. For you to influence other people, you have to get the message out there no matter what. You have to be willing to share, warts and all, who you are as a real human being. And again, this doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to make a life mess, right? You don't have to show up and say, oh man, my life is in total shambles. What it means though is that you demonstrate, hey, listen, things happen to all of us. We all go through tough times. I'm going through a struggle right now, or I'm going through a part where I'm frustrated, and here's how I'm getting through it. Influencers don't talk about their problems. Influencers talk about their solutions. And that's the part where you have to get vulnerable. First of all, you have to admit that you got a challenge, right? And a lot of times people don't like that. They feel, especially in the beginning, they look at the big dogs and they're like, man, those guys, gals have their lives so together. Look at their beautiful house that they're building, their custom home. Look at their private jet. Look at their fancy cars. And they think, well, until I have that stuff, I won't be an influencer. That's not true. In fact, it's the furthest thing from the truth. The thing that really influences people, moves people, gets them to shakes them up in their heart, mind, and soul, is a person that can show up and say, hey, listen, really had a struggle the other day. I had somebody who I trusted that backstabbed me, or I had a client that was supposed to pay and then they went into witness protection program. And here's how I dealt with it. If you can give them the, and here's how I dealt with it, that's going to be massively valuable to them, and they're going to love that. And then, of course, we were talking about authenticity just a moment ago. This is about being you, all right? If you're not the fancy car kind of person, then talk about your minivan. That's cool, man. If you're not the person that loves to fly first class, then talk about the value in flying coach. Who cares? The point is if you can teach somebody something valuable, if you can move them emotionally, if you can move them psychologically and get them to shift, then it really doesn't matter as long as you're being yourself. Here's the important piece to this. The part about being yourself is almost more important to you than it is to other people. Because over time, you're going to burn a ton of energy. You're going to expend a ton of personal capital trying to be something that you're not. And I can tell you from personal experience, that is a very short road to hell. All right. So do not go that path. Be yourself. Speak the way you want to speak. If you spout 4-letter words like I do, then be that person. Don't apologize for that. If you're somebody who believes in, business in a certain way, then share that. I will say this, try to stay focused on a business message as opposed to getting into politics, religion, sports, and all that other crap, right? But more importantly, give somebody something to hang on to. Give them something to believe in. Give them a reason to want to follow you. And you do that by being real. So again, the 3 levers of influence, these are 3 very powerful levers. If you want to create influence in your life, is number 1, you got to be on purpose. And that means having that strong character, showing up on a daily basis with consistency and follow through and the discipline of a leader. Number 2 is the vision. People will follow you if they know where you're going. And a lot of times folks don't have their own vision. So they're looking for somebody to kind of lead them. It doesn't mean that they're not smart enough or they're lazy. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that they're going to see you as influential if you've gone through that hard work of defining and refining your vision and leading them to that path. And then, of course, number 3 is to be real. And being real means being both vulnerable and authentic. That means be the real you. And that should be pretty relieving right now and give you a lot of peace of mind to know that you are enough. And now's your time to step into your greatness, step into the light, and be the influencer you were designed to be. All right, my friends, well, that just about does it for today. Thanks for joining us here. Always a privilege and an honor. Stoked for you because tomorrow we're going to have another amazing leader coming out here and talking to you about that 15 minutes of inspiration, education, and motivation to help you get your day started off right here on the Elite Marketing Pro Daily Dose of Awesome. And remember, no matter what course you fly in life, fly high, fly fast, and fly far. We'll see you guys soon.